Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of the Calm Mind Podcast. My name's Birdkeepertoby, and as always, I'm joined by Mr. TrueGreen7, and this is the first of two episode 16s you're going to see, because next week's episode was filmed before this one, but there's a very special reason as to why we're putting this one ahead of that one. There's several special reasons, but first I have a little bit of admin, which is to say thank you to today's sponsor, Wren. You will be able to learn more about them a little bit later on, and the two special reasons that this episode is coming before next week's, number one is, of course, there was a Pokemon trailer, and we definitely want to talk about that in this episode. And number two, we're joined by a very special guest. Say hello.
Hello, it is me. Hi, everybody. I'm Zach.
Now, this is Lumio's trainer, Zach, if you don't know who Zach is for some reason. He's actually, now that I think of it, probably the biggest Pokemon anime YouTuber. Like, is that true? Because if you were the biggest, I think you'd know.
Say that, but
number-wise, definitely
pretty well known. I think maybe the biggest English-speaking Pokemon anime YouTuber. I know there's others in Spanish, and there's Spanish channels and stuff like that where they're in the 600,000, 700. Forget about it.
Spanish isn't real. That's not a real language.
I speak Spanish. What are you talking about?
We're getting a whole new region from this.
You should do double content. You should redub your stuff in Spanish, and then I think who does that?
Loxton did it a while ago. Loxton did have a second channel, a Spanish channel.
But there's a very successful YouTuber, I think, that does it. I don't know if it's Jacksepticeye or something, but there are YouTubers that they just get other people to dub their stuff in different languages, and they're actually very successful.
Did you imply
Smosh did that?
Who?
Smosh did that. They have a Spanish channel.
They did that too. Yeah, but that I don't think that happens anymore.
Really felt like you just implied that Loxton is not a very successful YouTube channel.
No, because you said he used to, so I think I'm assuming he doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
Nah, Loxton sucks.
Whoa.
Wait, actually. So wait, Lumi. So Zach, where are you from actually?
So I am from the lovely city of New York.
Yo! Not only do we have our first American guest, which is amazing. Second, also New York. Okay, there's two people that live in two PokeTubers that live in New York. Right now, I guess it's you and me.
Yeah.
What's his name? Joey used to live in Bronx. Are you
yeah,
there?
I'm a Bronx guy. I don't live in the Bronx anymore. I've recently moved out, but
cool.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in the Bronx. That was really cool. I remember when he used to mention that in his videos. I was like, oh, that's awesome, man. That
sucks because let's say, and I'm assuming that he moved out when you were relatively smaller, and you could have connected with him now and definitely hung out.
Yeah.
This is, from my point of view, this is that scene in Civil War where Spider-Man and Captain America are like, hey, hey!
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, there are a lot of people in Long Island, but Long Island.
That's not New York.
It sucks because it's literally there. It's literally there, and but it's such a hassle to go to Long Island. It's technically, but it's technically from where I live, it's technically the same amount of time, I think. Nah, because when it's New York City, you just take the public transit, you take the bus or the subway. While if it's just outside, even if it's literally just a mile outside of New York City, now you have to take a car.
It's inconvenient.
It's it's annoying, and you can't for anybody who doesn't realize that in a major city or any big city, you can't really Uber. It costs $100 just to go to a different borough. In London, Toby, do you know if Ubering is a thing?
Yeah, Ubering is the thing in London. That if you're
Uber
not getting
exists?
the tube, you get Uber. Yeah, Uber's everywhere in London.
You don't take a taxi or anything?
No, there are traditional taxis in London, but Uber's kind of killed it all a little bit. Uber's just super convenient. Just whip out your phone. I'm gonna go here. I know exactly how much it's gonna be before I get in the car. I think London taxis are famously quite expensive, and it's almost part of the culture of going to London is that you're having a British taxi. You know the whole Corvinite thing? It's based on London taxis, and it's yeah, that's fine, but I just want to get from A to B, so Uber's great.
Okay, because I've actually never been in a taxi now that I think of it.
You can do that if you would so wish when you come over.
But when I come over, there's this tube strike, right?
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
We got the London Underground, and then we got a tube strike happening the weekend you're here. So, but it's fun because it's happening on dates when I think you're going to be pretty hauled up in the event anyway. But
okay,
it's.
I mean, again, I was assuming that there's just gonna be a few hours where the people who aren't from England are gonna be let's go and see this famous place or something, and just tour for like half a day or something. Especially like, I don't know.
You might well get Uber, split Ubers. It's super cheap. Can I ask? I want to ask a New York question because I actually don't know this. So you've got Rhode Island. No, you've got Long Island. What's Rhode Island? What is a Rhode Island? Is that another
Rhode
state?
Island is a state.
It's a separate state, but it's like near New York or no?
Technically, it's closer than Texas.
Right. Okay, but that's not. Okay. No, now I know. I know what. Okay.
I would literally love to just give you a geography lesson, not on the podcast. That would be boring, especially without any visual aid. But I don't know. For some reason, I like teaching geography and history, so I would enjoy doing that if you actually want to learn.
I think I would do a reasonably good job if you got a list of states, or if you pointed on a map and said, what state is this and where is it? Like, I think I'd do a reasonably good job. I think I could get like, I don't know, 70-80% of...
Really?
Yeah, pretty easily.
Would you get Rhode Island?
No, apparently not. Definitely. Rhode Island is an island, right?
No, I don't think so, no.
Then why is it called that?
Well, for example, there's a lot of there's like Coney Island is technically not an island. That's like a place in Brooklyn that it's just like a peninsula. So I think Rhode Island's like almost a peninsula. It's like what's crazy that you don't realize is that a lot of the states, like the borders, are created from like lakes, not lakes, but like rivers and mountains. So for example, like New Jersey, I just like literally found out after like, being in New Jersey a billion times in the last, my entire life, that like the entire like western border of New Jersey is basically a river.
Right.
Is it the west or the east? But sometimes you just don't realize that the borders are rivers and then they are actually like cut off from other states. Because like on a map you just see a line that goes over the river that like hides the river. But yeah, so I assume that's what it is in Rhode Island, but I don't know. Any viewers in Rhode Island?
I have another America question, and I think I know the answer. So I'll ask the question, I'll tell you what I think the answer is, but I don't know that this is right, because I only Googled this like the other day and didn't get a clear answer. I always hear the phrase the tri-state area, and I don't know what the tri-state area is. And my assumption is it's the point where three states kind of like cross over? Is that Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Tri-state.
But then that just makes sense.
Imagine there was like three states that just like combined and became one big
and then
state.
there's one place in America.
That's not the answer. That's just a hypothetical. Imagine.
There's one place in America where there's the 4 states that cross over, and I've been there. Where there's there's like, is it New Mexico? No, it's Texas, Arizona.
I assume there's more than
Utah.
One.
Oh, maybe not.
I know which one you're talking about. There's this one specific, like there's a specific spot where you can stand in all 4 states at the same time or something like that. I don't know which ones.
Well, that's the quad state area, I guess.
But it's not that special.
Area.
In Europe, you can, in most places, but specifically, let's say in Europe, you could be in multiple countries at the same time.
This is true.
So that's even cooler. But tri-state literally just any area that's just can be accessed by 3 states, I guess, or just like is near 3 states, like a point of a border between 3 states.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I guess New York is probably the most famous tri-state area, I'm assuming. Like, what are the tri-states of New York? Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey? Well, like if New York has a tri-state area, I think it's Connecticut.
Connecticut and Jersey are like the closest states.
Yeah, definitely. But like, what's your opinion on New York and New York City? Do you like it? Do you like being raised there?
I mean, it has its good parts and its bad parts. To be fair, I'm someone who lives like in the Bronx, so that's like kind of not the best part of New York, but like I used to live near Yankee Stadium. So I feel like if you're from the Bronx, that is probably the best area to live in because it's like the most, I guess, touristy place because the Yankees play, obviously they're like the baseball team with the most wins and everything. And whenever there's like a game, it's usually like the safest place to be because there's literally just cops everywhere. And that's like, it's a big tourist place, a big tourist spot. So you're pretty safe. You're guaranteed nothing's going to happen there. But like, it's funny because like when the off season hits during the winter, nothing is going on. So then it starts to feel like a not so safe place. You know what I mean? But generally, I do like living in New York City where I live now, it's a bit more suburban area, so it's different change of pace, but I like how calm it is because I spent 25 years of my life living in this big urban area with lots of people outside, loud music, big city life and stuff like that. And it's nice to be somewhere more calm, more chill. I can actually see birds now and stuff like that. People go to walks in the neighborhood that I live in. It's pretty cool.
What about like near, let's say, the Botanical Garden? Is that like a good place? I've never like walked around outside of that area. Not the Botanical Garden. Let's say the Bronx Zoo, too. That seems like a nice area, but that's from when you're near the zoo.
Yeah, when you're near the zoo, it's fine. But like if you anywhere like farther away you get from the zoo, then that's when it starts to get it's typical Bronx stuff. I mean, not to make it sound like all Bronx sounds bad. It's bad, but it's like. It's not the most popular spot in New York City. You know what I mean? It's not Manhattan. And I would even say, say it's like it's not even like Staten Island or like Queens to some degree. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Like Bronx is also like, it seems like has like the biggest like disparity between like the poorer areas and like the richer areas. Like it's just like, I don't know if there's any in between there.
God, there is like almost no in between. It's funny because I remember when I was moving out, I was looking for like I wanted to live in a nicer area because, I literally lived in the same block for like my whole life, basically. I think the one time I moved, I was like 19 and it was literally just to the building right in front across the street. So it was like, I wanted to go in a nicer area with different people, just a different vibe. And I was like, what is the nicest place to live in the Bronx? And it's Riverdale. It's like in the, what is it? The Northwest. It's literally like, but when I love that neighborhood, it's really nice, but like you go there, it's completely different. It doesn't feel like it's the Bronx. It's just like a completely different area. It's so crazy. And it's like, that's where usually like the rich people live. There's lots of nice houses and stuff like that. It's like, it's such a weird like segregation between like Riverdale, which is really nice, and then the Bronx, which is just, just apartment buildings that, typical New York type of life,
Exactly. I mean, technically now I think of it, it's probably Manhattan has the biggest disparity, but everything, even like the rich people still live in like apartments technically, but it's like, you don't realize that inside it's like a mansion inside the apartment, but the outside relatively looks the same. But it's crazy. And if anybody doesn't know, New York City is made of 5 boroughs, so it's like, and half of them are islands basically, or like part of an island. But so like you have Manhattan, the most famous one, and technically the smallest one. Like in terms of like square area, like size.
Yeah, it's pretty tiny compared to every other place.
And that's why it's so just fun. It's so fun like walking or like as just transporting around Manhattan because like you can go throughout the entire Manhattan in like a few hours, at least through like the subway. but and then so Manhattan's like the famous one. That's where everything that is famous is. Then you have Brooklyn, which is I guess like the most. Not the most populated, but like the most like normal. not like that's where people live. That's where people actually like live, but also there's a lot of industry there. It's like a mixture of like Manhattan and Queens, which is the biggest one and the most like also the most populated. Where also there is like there's like a lot of like it looks like Brooklyn, which is a lot of apartment buildings, but then there's also a lot of like just normal houses and stuff. But it's a better transition than let's say like Bronx, where it's like mostly like apartments, but then all of a sudden you go one block and it's like huge houses and like mansions, which is weird. And then you have Staten Island, which is kind of separate from
a little corner over there, just doing its thing.
Yeah, it's the most suburban. It's like you in Staten Island, you feel like you're in New Jersey, but also like probably the least disparity. Although like not a lot of like apartments, mostly like normal houses, and then like there are like I'd say other than Manhattan, the richest people probably do live in Staten Island because there's like a whole neighborhood in Staten Island where it's literally just like think of like where all like the Wall Street people live and all the mob and all like the richest people that aren't like there used to be the mob basically there. It used to actually. But it's like
that's where the mob watches over the city. They're in their island and they look at the city. That's where they, supervise everything.
Yeah. Toby, what's your perception of New York City?
Hang on, you said there were 5 boroughs. I heard 4. Was New Jersey the other one?
Oh, don't say that out loud, Toby.
Oh,
no, we don't count New Jersey. We don't count
Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Staten Island.
Oh, that's 5. Okay. So, but hang on. Oh, and then New Jersey isn't one of them. It's like
Jersey's it's different state.
Got ya.
But like there's a part of New Jersey that's called like West New York, but it's not part of New York. It's New Jersey.
We have that. There's like London and there's like Greater London and there's places in Greater London or even Surrey that like to think that they're. When I was at uni in a place called Kingston, and it was like everyone was like, "Oh, we got a uni in London," and then you realise you're not.
You're not in London.
There's no tube infrastructure here. You're not in London. It doesn't count.
I never like understood like cities that don't have like easy borders to distinguish. Like I think London.
Okay, well, I mean, London's going to confuse you because there is no London. There's the city of London.
Doesn't exist.
There's the city of London and there's Greater London, but there's no London. And the city of London is like a really small area. Like the area you're going to for Worlds isn't part of the city of London. The city of London is tiny and it's in the it's in the heart of the area that you would call London. But you're absolutely coming to London for this event. 100%.
Yeah, but
no one would argue that you're not.
Are you sure the Excel is not in London?
Not in the city of London. The city of London is tiny.
Oh, the city of... Okay, got it. But that's... Okay, so
that's what I'm saying. There's no, like, officially labelled area called London. There's just the city of London, and then there's, like, Greater London, which stretches out.
Yeah, but that's like New York City and Manhattan, which is technically New York.
Right.
Like...
Got ya.
But like... No, New York City is still the other boroughs, too.
My understanding... And there might be a TikToker who did something on this that I saw, but my understanding is that the city of London is marked out by... There's a number of stations like Aldgate, and there's a number of gates, and the gate stations...
so cool.
Everything within that's the city of London. And then everything outside of that is just Greater London, and it goes on and on and on and on until areas that you're like, how is this London? We also
for example,
go on.
Buckingham... Is Buckingham part of Greater London or City of London?
What do you mean? But do you mean like Buckingham Palace?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but no, Buckingham Palace is not in the west. Yeah, it's very much in the center.
It's in the center?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I guess, London is more western than I thought. Like to the west.
Yes.
So everything just shifts to the west for me in my mind. But that's why it's so it's way easier, let's say in New York City, where it's like everything has a defined border.
Right. When you were saying what I was making of it, I was just thinking about like the Spider-Man games on PlayStation, where there's like it's very like hard ridges as to like this is this section, this is this section. I could probably guess where a couple of the sections are.
Yeah,
I kind of want you to guess just to see what you have to say.
Please do.
I think Brooklyn is in the north, or the Bronx is. One of the B's is in the north. Manhattan's obviously in the very dead center. And then, but Staten Island is like, is that in the south?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Is Staten Island in the Spider-Man video game?
No.
I don't think so. But there's so many games that use Manhattan as a. I mean, that's probably why it's got such rigid. Not to make sell games, but why games use it is because it's got such rigid and defined borders for areas. Because you got like there's GTA. There was the GTA game. There's Prototype. There's all the different Spider-Man games. There are so many games open world that use just like a map of New York as like this is the location.
Yeah, it's very easy to divide since like Manhattan, which is like the biggest and most popular part of New York City, it's like right in the center, and all the boroughs are like around it. So it's like the way to reach the other places, you have to cross a bridge. And like in the games, like for specifically Spider-Man, I've tried to like, let me see if I could go to the Bronx. And when you go to the bridge that takes you there, then like the game just cuts off. It's like, oh, you can't go any further. Like, you can't cross the bridge. It's like, oh man, but you can kind of see it in the horizon, you know, like in the distance.
Have you guys playing a game like found an area that you're like, this is where I live, and you're like, this is like the closest that you've got to it? Kind of thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I spoke about it on the podcast, but like for example, Nuvema in Unova is literally where I grew up in Brooklyn. so it's like cool. That's where it's based on. And then that's why I mean it's one of the reasons I love Unova so much. But like Unova is so cool for me, and I assume Galar is really cool for you. But like Unova is a city, so it's like it's like you really can find different like neighborhoods and stuff. While Galar, it's like there's one whole place is like multiple cities even. So it's like so I feel bad for the Galarians, but
not for actually specifically for the one town that I am closest to, which is the Turfield, is pretty much based off of one town flat.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's the area around Stonehenge, and it's like, cool. that there's no arguing that. Like, it's just Stonehenge, and so it's pretty good.
Turffield was like the place I was like most excited to play before I played the game, like because like originally we thought like the borders were like you could like just explore every place in the map. When it's like it's more of a corridor. But it's still like, so I'm really looking forward to like going to real Turffield. I also like the music there is underrated too, in my opinion. But yeah, New York is pretty cool. So wait,
for
Zach,
me, like, unfortunately, like I'm thinking like Univa's awesome, but there isn't a lot of representation for the Bronx. Like, you literally have like every other borough almost like represented in different ways. Like, I think Brooklyn, they have like November
even have
Town,
New Jersey,
and you even have New Jersey, bro. New Jersey ain't even part of New York. But the Bronx, all we really have is the Univa League, which, like, I guess the aesthetic, the way the shape looks on the outside is based off of the botanical gardens, which I guess is pretty cool because that's near where my girlfriend used to live. Well, my wife now, that's where she used to live, and I remember visiting and driving through there. And it was like, oh, that really does look like the Univa League. I guess that's all we got, huh? I guess we take it, I guess.
You got the league. Cool, you live at the Pokemon League.
I live at the Pokemon League. That's true. That's true.
But yeah, it's crazy because originally I thought, like, let's say Opelousas was Bronx, but it's more like Harlem.
Yeah, although Harlem does kind of like, because I feel like that, like, when we're talking about New York, that's where kind of like the transition happens, where you go from like, you know, the financial district, which is like the big tall buildings, and then, you know, you have like Midtown with like Times Square. I feel like Harlem is where you get the transition to like the more I guess regular apartment buildings, and like a lot of Bronx looks a lot like Harlem. That's where you get the transition, and like even the diversity like between the people, that's where you get like the big mix of like the Hispanics and the African Americans and like just everybody, you know, as opposed to we're like busy Manhattan where it's just business people working in Wall Street and stuff that are all the way in the bottom, you know?
Yeah, it's, and like Univa does, I guess, like a good representation of that. Because again, it's like it is a very clear transition. Like, it's very easy to tell where which one neighborhood begins and ends. But so Zach, where's your family from?
So my family, they're actually from the Dominican Republic. So I am Dominican. It's very interesting because it's like my like Dominican Republic is very mixed. So it's like, obviously it's a Hispanic country, but it's like they have like almost two different divisions, if that makes sense. They have like the Hispanics who are like, they are from people who are like black people who came to the island and stuff like that, or like from Haiti and stuff like that, or even like, I think originally like when slaves were brought over and stuff like that, they just ended up living there and whatnot. And then you have like the Spanish side, like the pure Spanish side that comes from like Spain. And they come like when they came down and stuff like that. And then eventually like it just became like this big like melting pot of like people. So it's cool because when people look at me, most of the time they see like, oh, you're a black guy. I mean, like, I guess, yeah, like I identify like I'm black. But I'm also like Spanish because like from my mother's side, I think my great-great-grandfather came from Spain. But from my father's side, my great-grandfather he was black, and he came from Nevis Island, which is like a smaller island in the Caribbean. He moved to the Dominican Republic. So it's like really cool. Like, I feel like I myself identify as like a cool mix of like both different types of like Dominican Spanish culture in a way.
Yeah, always cool to have all these, I guess, cultures that you can identify with and like maybe draw some inspiration from, or just like, I mean, like for example, the food must be amazing in your family.
Oh yeah, the food is bomb. It's pretty good.
But like, let's say growing up, like when someone asks you like, well, what are you? Like, what would you say automatically? You'd say like Dominican or?
Yeah, I'd say Dominican. It's weird because I always say Dominican, right? Because it's weird because I'm gonna be honest, right? This doesn't represent all Dominicans, but there are like a group of them who are like, you know, they don't want to identify as black. Like, I feel like Dominicans aren't really clear cut where it's like, oh, you're Spanish, or like, you know, you're like pure Spanish from Spain, or like there's a lot who don't want to admit that they're like black. So as a kid, when people would be like, oh, you're black, because, you know, obviously I'm dark skinned and my father's darker than me, it's like you look at us, you'd assume we're black, and technically we are, but like, I don't know, maybe it's like how you're raised, like the culture is like, oh no, you're Spanish, like you're not black. Like it's also like, you know, it's like a hint of like racism that's been brought up from like generations and stuff. It's like, oh no, you're not black. And I remember I used to get offended too when people would see my dad and be like, oh, your dad is black. I'm like, he's not black, he's Dominican and whatnot. But I feel like as I got older, especially when I was like in college, because I feel like that's where I really got my first taste of like experiencing and meeting new people from different lifestyles and different walks of life. Because I remember middle school and high school, they were literally like 2 blocks away from where I lived. So I pretty much grew up around the same type of people in the same neighborhood. But college is where I met people from literally everywhere. And that's where it was like, you know, people were like, oh, well, you look kind of black or whatever. And like, I'm like, no, I'm Dominican and stuff like that. But I feel like that's where it really started to go like, hey, you know, actually, I am kind of black. Like I looked into my family history. I'm like, oh, technically my great grandfather is black, you know, like I can't really, it's something I've embraced and I'm really like, proud of actually, especially after the whole, well, I don't know if this is we're getting a little too deep to stuff, but like with the Black Lives Matter stuff that happened, I remember there was like a big movement where like, you know, Dominicans were embracing the fact that yes, we're black. Like our culture doesn't want to embrace the fact that part of us are black, but it's like, we're a mix of a lot of things. And we share the island of Haiti. Like the country of Dominican Republic shares Hispaniola with Haiti. And throughout the history, there's been like a lot of conflict and debate and racism towards, you know, we don't want to associate with them and whatnot. So I feel like what's really cool about what happened is just, you know, embracing who we are. You know, yes, we're black, but we're also like Spanish. We're a cool mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People, I guess, always like forget like the difference, I guess, between like just being black and being like African American, and then also all the different mixed races that are within, let's say, you know, Hispanic countries and stuff like that. So it's it must have been like a turbulent time for you, just trying to figure out how you identify. And I mean, it always is. It's whatever you want or how you grew up. Because even within your culture, there's multiple like ways that different ways to be brought up, and different mixes of, you know, African American and let's say Dominican, for example. But like, no, I get it. And I mean, it's cool, definitely. That it's cool when you're trying to figure out sometimes too. It's like, I don't know, you're learning more about yourself, I guess. And I'm noticing now also, even though I think I noticed before, but like you technically have like more of like a Hispanic accent, I guess, like a slight Hispanic accent to your New York accent, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really notice it. That's another thing actually. It goes back to like the college stuff. I remember when I was in college, since that was like the first time like I would like my roommates, they were like all white, I think. Well, there was like 2 Italians and like but like they were mostly like, you know, brought up like in a white neighborhood and stuff like that. And really great guys. I love them. But it was really funny how like they would be like, oh man, you have a really cool voice. I'm like, huh? This was before I started my YouTube channel as well. This is like you're right before. I was like, I never really heard that. Like college was the first time when people like actually noticed like my voice, like, oh, you have a cool accent and stuff like that. I never would have considered myself having an accent because, you know, I just live with people and I grew up with people who literally looked and sounded like me. So it's just like, this is how I am. But I guess to other people who aren't used to that, it's like, oh, you know, your voice is pretty distinct and stuff like that. I was like, oh, thank you very much.
Literally, the first thing that I said when you came on this podcast is, oh man, your audio sounds great, and your voice definitely does carry through the microphone in this really nice, sort of smooth and soothing way. I think you're very well suited to kind of content creation and presentation.
It definitely works. It works for like reviews and the kind of content that you do. So you found the perfect niche.
I find that really interesting, and this is entirely coming from a place of like ignorance and not knowing enough. I hadn't even really considered about like in terms of identifying as black in terms of a culture and not just the color of your skin, just the tone of your skin. That's just really, really fascinating to me. I was just sitting here, and if I'm a bit quiet, it's just because I'm like, I just hadn't even really considered that or thought about that.
Yeah, same. I feel like I was like that for a bit too, and it was this moment where I kind of like, it hit me, like, I don't know if we ever like had to fill out forms or whatever, like documents, and they ask you like, oh, what is your race? Just white, Asian, black, and like, I don't know, something like Pacific or something. I don't know, some other thing.
Pacific Island.
And I'm like, what? Huh? Like, I'm always like growing up, I was like, oh, I'm, you know, Hispanic, but there isn't like, when you technically that's like an ethnicity, but there's no like, like when it's races, it's just like technically 4 races, and I'm like,
4 races.
I would always which is kind of like, I feel like that's kind of like a simplistic way to look at the world, just 4 races, but it's like I would always leave that blank, and I feel like as of late, the past couple of years, where I really, you know, started embracing, you know, I am black, it's fine, you know what I mean? It's not a big deal, like, but yeah, it is kind of funny how the world kind of sees it very, no pun intended, black and white.
Well, that's why black and white makes so much sense. Unova makes sense in black and white, but also I definitely had a similar experience, like especially with like, let's say, you know, filling out forms, but like because like I grew up also like within like around, let's say, the same neighborhood and going to school with like the same people. I mean, I went to like a Jewish private school, so like the entire school is just Jewish, and like say mostly like, say 70% like European Jews, so they're all white. While like also, for example, so I'm Middle Eastern Jew. I'm also a Sephardic Jew, so like my great let's say grandparents came from Spain actually, and yeah, it took me a while to even realize that I am like Middle Eastern. Maybe I started like identifying that as that like in college, because like again, like even in middle school, like all my food was Middle Eastern. My parents, like, you know, speaking like both my parents know Arabic, both my grandparents speak Arabic, both my set of grandparents speak Arabic, and I was always like, let's say, teased, like not like bullied or anything, but teased for being, let's say, Middle Eastern, and especially in the early 2000s, there's a lot of like people are teasing Middle Eastern people, or even worse, unfortunately. But so it's like I never felt white, even though I associated myself with white people, because that's just who I was around. But then, you know, when you go home, my home is not white culture at all, and then even more, Jewish culture is not white culture at all either. So it's like it's completely separate. So it's like there's no Jewish option on the when you're filling out your ethnicity, even though Jewish is a race. I mean, it's an ethnicity. It's not a race. But Middle Eastern is definitely, you know, an ethnicity. But there's rarely ever Middle Eastern either. So it's like I always just check other, and it's just, yeah, it's weird it is weird now that I think of it, that there isn't any Middle Eastern, or like I rarely see like Asian option either. Even though, like, you know, this isn't first New York City, but also America. There's every ethnicity. So it's like
we have everything.
We literally have everything. So I don't the four options is always weird to me. Now I think of it. So normally around this time we would generate a Pokemon, but right now let's generate an ad.
Hey Ron, you know how ridiculously hot it's been lately?
Toby, I'm literally very wet right now. Like my underwear, my back. I'm tired of this, honestly.
You're dripping. I feel that. I think we've passed the point where weather like this is like, oh, this is fun. This is a good thing. I don't know about you. I find it so much harder to work in temperatures like this, which is why I'm saying a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Wren. Wren is a startup that's making it easy for everyone to make a meaningful difference in the climate crisis.
And by visiting wren.co/com and answering a few questions about your lifestyle, you can calculate your carbon footprint and then offset it with a monthly subscription that supports awesome climate projects that plants trees, protects rainforests, and remove carbon dioxide from the sky. I didn't even know that was possible.
Signing up to Wren is an easy way to start doing something about the climate crisis. And I know for a lot of people, the climate crisis can feel like an incredibly overwhelming thing. How can I ever make a difference and save the world? Ron, how am I ever going to save the world? Wait, you've got a suggestion?
I literally said nothing, Toby.
I thought I had a suggestion. Well, maybe the suggestion is to sign up to Wren, because don't worry, the pressure isn't all on you. The questionnaire is quick and easy and should give you a really good feel for the impact you're having.
And you know, Tobert, once you sign up to make a monthly contribution to offset your carbon footprint, you receive monthly updates from the tree planting, rainforest protection, and carbon removal projects you supported. You get to see the trees you planted and what your money is spent on.
And as it happens, Roberto, what's more is when you sign
It's not even my name.
Topa isn't mine. But look, what's more is when you sign up to wren.co/calm, that WREN.co/calm, Wren will plant 10 extra trees in your name. That's not just True Green 7, that's True Green 10. That's 10 times more than they would have had without you signing up. So you can see how you can begin to make a difference today. So sign up to wren.co/calm today to find out your carbon footprint and what you can do about it. Links in the YouTube description also.
Coming straight from True Green 7 and Birdkeepertoby, Birdkeepertoby, if there's one thing you need to remember, it's that no single person can solve the climate crisis, but we can all make a difference. And thank you to Wren for sponsoring this podcast. That was a nice ad. Hopefully we generate a Pokemon that is very environmentally friendly. You know what's an environmentally friendly Pokemon? Sceptile. But we're not going to get Sceptile.
Yeah. What we get? Well, you never know. It's random.
So if anybody doesn't know, if you're new to the podcast, maybe you came from the Champion League podcast. I don't know.
Hey, nice plug.
Oh yeah, which is weird that we didn't say that. Like another big reason that he's here is also just the fact that we technically have like rival podcasts.
I wouldn't say rival podcasts.
They're very different podcasts.
No, we're in a totally different league.
This is like I in my head I see this as like therapy, the podcast. You guys are just having a chill time, just talking.
Yeah.
Calm mind.
We're talking.
It's calm mind. Champion League is something different. We yell at each other. We get mad at our opinions, and at the end of the day, it's a good time.
Yeah, we're gonna find a week where we're particularly riled up to jump on and join you guys on the Champion League podcast, which, by the way, of course, is second ad of the day. Links are in the top of the YouTube description. So please, if you're listening to our podcast and you like listening to us talk about a little bit about our life, a little bit about Pokemon, then you're also going to enjoy the Champion League podcast, where you can hear Zach and the guy talking about the Pokemon Anime. It's time to generate a Pokemon.
What the hell is this?
What do we get?
We got a Swoobat.
Oh, man.
Hang on. No, look. We said 1 in every 10 episodes we can re-roll. Oh, but there's no point, because we're going to talk about the new Pokemon stuff in a bit, and we're going to have new good Pokemon on the thumbnail anyway.
In the thumbnail, okay.
Let's wing it, haha, and talk about Swoobat.
All right, I got a cool Swoobat thing to mention. This actually kind of ties into what we were talking about before. So Swoobat's pretty cool to me now. It's a Pokemon I didn't care for, but here's another plug. It's a Pokemon I gave a regional variant to in my Pokemon region that I'm working on. That's based on the Dominican Republic. Boom. There we go.
Sweet.
Perfect.
It is a fire and psychic type. That's what I did.
Fire and psychic. So it doesn't fly? Oh, it flies with psychic powers.
Yeah. I mean, it has wings still.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. But Swoobat actually has like a really cool concept, but it's like Heart Nose Bat. Heart Stamp is a cool idea. I also like the design, like the stylized ears with like they're both attached to each other. It's cool. And also just the inspiration. I guess the Honduras White Bat could be an inspiration. Have you ever seen a Honduras White Bat, Toby?
Nope.
It's the cutest bat in the world.
I'll
cute.
have a little look.
Everybody check it out right now.
Same
if
here.
you're in your car, don't check it out though. Wait till you're done. I mean, bats are underratedly cute. I went to the zoo like a year ago, and they're the cutest thing in the world.
Oh, that is adorable. That's adorable.
You're right.
Bats are so cute when they're behind a cage, wait. I would prefer them being wild, but if they're, let's say, need to be taken care of. I mean, most people don't realize that most zoos, at least in America, the ones that are certified, definitely the ones in New York City, those are like all the animals there are there for a good reason, and they're being taken care of for various reasons, whether or not, whether they literally can't go to the wild, let's say, they're injured or something, or they're just they're there for educational purposes and they're being very well taken care of. Zoos are fine most of the time, at least in Western countries. Definitely zoos in like some other country. I don't know. It's not America, so there's no American. I know that the American certification of zoos is very well respected by like conservationists and like people who like animals. So like you can trust a lot of zoos, and you might as well go to a zoo if it's if you can like literally Google and see if it's trusted by conservationists, and if it is, you're actually doing a good thing by like paying to go to the zoo, because the zoo actually does good things for animals. I don't know why I was passionate about that. I just got a lot of.
You got very defensive about zoos for a moment there.
I got really defensive.
You're like listeners. They're gonna. If I support zoos, they're gonna hate me. But it's fine. It's all good.
No, because it's like there are a lot of people in the comment section. Whenever I see like an animal video or whatever, especially one that's happened that is in a zoo, they're like, "Wow, like it sucks that this animal's behind like a cage or whatever, like behind something." But it's. Especially if it's in America, a lot of times no, this is a good reason, and it's actually doing fine there. And people in the comments are saying that, but
they take care of them, guys. They don't just shove them in cages and don't feed them. Like
it's not like a circus where like they're there for like entertainment or anything. They're not doing anything. There's no shows in most zoos, and I mean even the ones that have shows like sea lions, they're like technically like the most free if you think about it. But yeah, I don't know. Why am I so uncomfortable when I'm talking about zoos? Like, why do I feel like I'm gonna get like backlash? Because people love animals, I guess.
Because of that sentence you said. You were like, "I love bats when they're behind cages." Wait, Now you're in this whole campaign to try to like, you know, redeem yourself and not cancel
defend
yourself.
Okay, yeah,
you're in
yeah.
defense mode right now.
No, but like people who like animals probably already, like people who really do their research about animals probably already know this. So I don't have to defend myself against that. But nah, bats are cute. That was my point. Whether or not they're behind bars. I mean, but like, if you had a bat like flying, if you had a bat flying around in your room, you're not gonna be happy about it. So it should be fine if it's in a zoo for you.
I think if we just don't jump in, you'll keep going.
That's right. I literally just had therapy yesterday, and we talked about this 2 therapy sessions ago.
What, bats in cages? You like specifically said, I got a problem with bats, I want them in cages, and then your therapist was like, that's messed up, Ron. That's why you come to see me.
It's where if there's an awkward pause, I will, because of my this social anxiety, I guess, where now I feel like there's an awkward pause. I'm just going to either ramble without even thinking because I can't, because in my mind right now it's like, oh snap, there's an awkward pause. I have to fill it in with some talk. And because I'm thinking that, I'm not actually thinking of what I'm actually needing to say. So I'm just rambling.
Just let the pause hang, bro. Just let it chill.
You said
Enjoy the pause.
You said this about like many podcasts ago. You said this about like you'll end up then saying something that you don't even believe. You'll just end up just like
we did talk about this.
Hey, let's just do it all in together right now. We're going to breathe in and we're going to enjoy a nice pause together. If you're listening, you can do that as well. Breathe in.
You didn't say breathe out. I'm holding it in still, bro.
You can breathe out. You can breathe out. You should breathe out. You should have breathed out already. Okay, that was nice. That was good. I did a little kind of meditation session the other morning where I was like, because we had the new Pokemon trailer coming out, and I was like, okay, I know what the trailer comes out at 2. My life is about to get very hectic. I should just spend like a little bit of time focusing on my breathing and just spend 2 minutes to just like try and be present in the moment, calm down and chill out. And it really took me back to school to like when we'd do stage shows and stuff in drama. And he'd be like, our drama teacher would be like, look, just spend some time, just count down from like 120, breathe, think about your lines, that kind of thing. And it's like getting prepped for the game where I'm like, okay, and now I'm going to go begin the live stream. Hello, Pokemon Masters, welcome to the trailer. And then we were off and it's the show. It's
crazy because like for me, when beginning a live stream triggers my IBS, so it makes me need to go to the bathroom because I'm nervous. Because I'm like, because you don't know if you haven't streamed, you don't know the nerves that you have before you start streaming.
Yeah.
Because like anything could happen. You can have technical difficulties. Like everything could be going good, and then literally you press the start streaming button, and you realize that the audio is not good or like something's bad, and you're just panicking because now you have hundreds of people watching you. I mean, if you're
yeah.
Popular streamer.
If you're like cool like us.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even it's more just because I have subscribers, so like people are going to watch. But if I was on Twitch, I would have like 5 people watching. Yeah. But which it's actually probably good practice. It's probably good practice to actually start with a very like literally zero audience and then build up instead of all of a sudden go into hundreds of viewers like me, because you don't get used to having hundreds of people watch you.
And having hundreds of people ask, what's your favorite Pokemon?
Yeah.
And then, they don't look at your banner that literally has your favorite Pokemon on it.
Do you guys have any like pre-show, pre-recording, pre-going live rituals that you partake in?
Well, I make sure everything on my desk is where it should be, like my drink and everything like that. I have to set up the music. Music is a big part of my streams. I literally, whenever I'm streaming, every 30 minutes I'm asking, hey, how you like the music? Maybe I'm head bopping silently for like a minute and telling everybody, hey guys, listen to this specific remix. So yeah, the setting of the music is a big deal. But no, nothing ritualistic or spiritual. No meditating.
You're not taken to another plane of existence before you can mentally prepare yourself for the stream or recording session.
Not yet. That is the trick. That's what I hear everybody does. All the successful streamers. That's why they're successful. It's because they have a third eye.
So I've been streaming recently. It's something new I've been tackling and something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I'll tell you, I'm fine until I want to say half an hour before the stream, and I make the tweet, hey guys, I'm about to stream. And then as soon as I send that, I'm like, oh God, I'm about to stream. You know what I mean? Like I like the nerves come in, and I don't know why, but it's just like kind of like what you said. You're putting yourself out there in front of a bunch of people, and it's funny because literally yesterday, I usually stream on Twitch, but yesterday was the first time I was like, let me stream on my YouTube channel because like I was doing the reaction to the new Pokemon stuff, and I was like, instead of just cutting it up, making a video, might as well just make it a live stream, and then it's already there,
Yeah.
And I it's funny because I literally started out the video by doing a like pre-recorded intro so that I can cut it in post in the YouTube editor and it could just cut straight to the reaction. And I'm like, all right, it's going to be perfect. I'm going to have the intro set up. It's going to fade to black. Then it's going to fade in and I'm actually going to start speaking and everything. And then everything was running smoothly. And then the moment the intro cuts out, it fades out, it goes in. I'm like, you guys can't see me because like I'm like I'm miming because I was on mute. So I had the perfect intro and I was going to go, hey everybody. And then all of a sudden I'm on mute. I'm like, hey everybody. But I'm like, you can't hear me. And I'm like, oh wait, 1 second. And I was like, oh God, I dropped the ball and I hated myself for like.
That throws you off so bad. People don't realize when you're streaming and you have tech issues. Oh wow. That can just like knock your mental confidence about what you're supposed to be doing. Just like that, and
it kills the flow.
When you've got like as well, like when you're streaming and you're doing it in a good setup, you've got your camera, the cables attached to your camera, the dummy battery, you've got your XLR mixer perhaps, or you've got your mic, eyes, everything, you got all your various apps are open. Is StreamerBot working? Is Streamlabs working? Is Stream Elements working? You got OBS. Is all the settings correct? Are we on the right stream key? Are we there? And anything can go wrong for any reason at any time, just because technology likes to do that. And it's so stressful when you're sitting there like, what's gone wrong and why? And you're just like live, just kind of sweating like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. That's my big swear. My big swearing incident in the world of content creation. And I don't swear often. Which is crazy. Was just swearing at technology while live.
I mean, Toby swears more than me. Like, how often do you swear, Zach?
Oh man, I am holding it in, guys. I'm trying.
Yeah, is it like
very well behaved?
People who just
Thank you.
naturally swear all the time? It's very hard to be like a wholesome Poketuber.
But I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying not to do it as much, but it just kind of happens.
Like for me, I swear as much as the normal person, but like I already got used to just not. I'm not proud of my ability to control it, but like the ability to just control things in your life is just something that it's like a philosophy that I adhere to, whether it be like just trying not to be over gluttonous with food or something like that, or like this, like just being able to control your swearing, so like you don't like swear in front of like an authority figure or something, a time that you can't it's a good thing to like actually try to do. I'm not saying that it's bad to swear or anything, but it's just a cool thing to be able to control, because I know a lot of people who just like get in trouble in terms of like, obviously, even when they're still adults, where it's like all of a sudden you're swearing in a live stream when you're not supposed to, or you're swearing at work when you're not supposed to, or you're in a job interview or something like that. It's like it's just cooler when you have some kind of control, even though, and when you want to swear, you swear. Like the whole point is to control, basically. Yeah. I mean, not to swear.
I've got a pretty good, like I've got it down where like 99% of the time, if I am live, or if I'm recording, or if I'm like at a funeral or a wedding or somewhere very officious, or perhaps meeting business contacts, I'm pretty good at the not like just it. I don't have to control it. It's subconscious. I just switch into that mode, and then when I'm being more casual, I'm just hanging out with friends like we were before the stream, I'll just swear and it's fine. It's whatever. What I find the exception is if I am playing like a game, if I'm playing like Halo and I'm like on multiplayer, if we're on live stream, the chances of me accidentally swearing just went up like a lot, and I don't even think about it while I'm doing it, and then I'll think, oh, I can't say that.
You kind of catch yourself.
Yeah.
You know what's an actual like personal pet peeve that I have on my channel is, so I'm known, I don't swear in my videos, right? But I'll definitely say like damn and badass or whatever.
Oh, people who are like, that's a swear?
People are like, hey Ron, you're not allowed to say damn. You're for religious reasons. They'll like tell me off and be like, hey, you're not allowed to say, or like I'm not, like try to impose their for any reason, try to impose their rule set on you, especially when I'm already family friendly. is the most annoying thing, and it's even more annoying when it is for religious reasons, because like I'm not Christian, and it's almost always it's a Christian person being like, you're not allowed to say damn, let's say. Yeah. So, and it's like I literally did not grow up in this culture. You can't tell me I can't say damn. Can't tell. And also, badass is a very New York thing too, I guess, or just anything ass.
Badass. Yeah, badass is fine. Damn, darn isn't even a thing. Darn it.
Oh,
that's not even a thing. Oh, darn.
Can't
say that on the podcast. We'll get in trouble. Yeah, I get that when you work really hard and you're like, hang on, I accommodate to 99% of people here, but there's like one person in your audience who's like, you can't say that. I'm like, no word, police. You can leave. That's my
There's
feeling.
always that one person that shows up and it's like, why did you say that? And for me, at least, whenever that happens to me, I always just write it off as like, it's probably just like a little kid or something like that. Like I would say,
it can't be an adult.
Like I'm reviewing an episode, I'm like, or like this part of the episode was shit or whatever. And it's like, oh, Zach, why are you swearing in your videos? I'm like, goodbye, man. I just remove comments. I have no problem with removing comments I don't like.
Yeah.
What I find funny is like obviously we've got Worlds coming up. There's going to be members of like the Pokemon team there, for example, and I'm going to get to meet them and say hello. And I will switch into that mode of like, well, I swear in front of friends, but I don't swear in front of you. I'm smart and I dress up well and I do, I'm very officious at this event, right? But realistically, like if I did swear, it would make me so much more human to them that they probably want to work more together. And actually, if someone were like, what's your language, young man? I'd be like, do one. What are you talking about?
I bet you like the representatives from like the Pokemon Company International or whatever, they definitely probably swear more than you, cool. Even in front of you. But yeah, I mean, Zach, how religious was your family?
So for my family, it's interesting because I guess my family, my mother and my father, they were both like Catholic. And my father still is, but my mom really, like, she converted into like Christianity, Pentecostal specifically, that denomination. So like that was around I was around age 10. She kind of like became that, and then she kind of raised me in that way, and my siblings as well. So like I'm Christian as well. My father is like Catholic, but it's like the type where it's like, they don't really go.
Catholic.
Yeah, culturally Catholic, kind of. It's like he doesn't really go to church that much. It's just like he believes in God and whatnot, but like, he's not really religious. My mother is the more like, I guess, religious one, and I'm religious to some extent as well. Like I don't know, it's a little weird. Like I don't like saying religious because I don't know, just the way I was kind of brought up. And the way like my church is, it's like to say someone's like religious, it's sometimes it's taken as like in a negative way, like people who take things too seriously, like almost in a negative way, they take a religion. So that's why I like religious. It's like
spiritual.
I don't know, but exactly,
it's crazy because a religious like Christian is definitely different than like a religious Jew. Because like when I'm around Jews, if I say I'm religious, that means like Orthodox. Like that means I do all the rules, because like there's way more rules in Judaism, let's say, than like Christianity. While religious Christian just means like you go to church every Sunday or something like that. Maybe you believe in God, definitely, probably, or like it's not like a part of your everyday life, like every second. While religious Jew, you'll have to pray 3 times a day if you're a religious Jew, let's say. While even though I'm not a religious Jew, but I think about like Judaism like every other day, let's say. While I don't know if you think about Christianity every other day, so it's like so that's why it's weird. Like even just the term religious for like trans religion is even more complicated. That's why I don't know what like religious Christian means sometimes. But like I don't know, like even like what you're Pentecostal, you said?
Yes.
What is a defining like trait of that denomination? Like
so
compared to, let's say,
I've looked into it because I'm not really like, I don't really look into too much like other religions. I know like, some big main stuff, but I tried to really understand what was like the true, I guess, defining factor. I guess one of the things is that, so Pentecostal Christians, like we believe in baptism through the Holy Spirit, which I guess not all Christians really believe in to some extent, like it's very different. I'm not the guy to be answering all the pinpoint questions. I just know what I've been like, taught and brought up with. But yeah, I guess that's one key kind of factor.
But it is crazy that you're also the first guest that like actually was brought up or like partook in a specific, like in Christianity, let's say. Because like Toby's technically, I mean, your family is Quaker or just like
No.
No?
My mum was brought up Quaker. And would identify with that, but no, we're not
like
a religious family.
So you're just like you're like an atheist family, I'm assuming. Like,
I don't know, because I mean, I'm an atheist. And the people, my dad definitely is. I don't know where my brother sits on it. Like, religion was not.
You were brought up without
brought into the mix, but I wouldn't call it an atheist. It was quite an agnostic upbringing. It was really
agnostic. Okay.
It was an upbringing with an absence of any religious
to be fair,
or non-religious talk.
Like, for example, I'm agnostic. My dad's agnostic. Everybody except like my mom is agnostic in my family, but we really do partake in almost every Jewish thing, and we think about Judaism all the time. So like, there's a difference between like so this is technically an agnostic family if you think about it. We're not like doing everything and thinking about God when we're doing it, because that's also different, because like Judaism also is like more of like a culture too, than just a religion.
Yeah.
But like, for example, you're an atheistic family. There's no theism.
Yes, in that sense, it wasn't that we all kind of went around reaffirming every day that we do not believe. Yes, just checking in. We still, it was atheistic in that there was there was no theism. At the beginning there was no theism. The theism discussions were, they were had in passing, but in no more of a way than you would have like a dinner time conversation about like other philosophical matters, and you would just kind of like, well, there are lots of different opinions out there in the world, and this is what some people believe, this is what some people believe, you will come to decide what you believe, and then that was very much it.
Maybe one time we'll have like a guest who actually like grew up in like a very religious Christian family, like Loxton, perhaps. Like Loxton has a lot of stories, I think, about that. Because like literally every guest that we have, I think Zach is a good transition. Like Zach, just like a normal religious family, I guess. Like Loxton apparently had like a very like
interesting
extreme upbringing. Watches like his Draw My Life or whatever.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's entertaining. And yeah, like, because not apparently, but like, it just seems like, in England, it's definitely less religious than
when you
America.
Just said that you think about Judaism every other day, that sounds like, whoa, you're thinking about it so much. Like that's like it
literally means
really?
Hey. So Friday is when we have Kiddush, which is the meal or blessing that brings in the Sabbath, Shabbat. Okay, sure. So you have a family meal, you do the blessings, then you eat, right? And so it's, let's say every like Wednesday or Thursday, I'm like, hey, what are we having for Kiddush? What are we eating? What are we eating? It's not like, hey, let's think about God. It's more like, hey, what are we doing? What are we eating for this meal? Or this holiday's coming up. What are we can do during that holiday? Or it is literally never about God.
No.
So that's why it's different. Like, I'm not gonna say that we are. Yeah, I'd say the difference between a religious Jew and just like a secular Jew. The difference between a religious and secular Jew is really just if you actually think about God, I would say. Okay. It has nothing to do with what you actually do, because like I'm partaking in the same holidays as an actual religious Jew, but I'm not doing it because I'm fearing God or whatever.
Sure.
Interesting.
So I don't know what that equivalent is in Christianity, because like I don't know anybody who goes to church on their like own free will, but doesn't believe in God. In like Christianity, while I can go to shul or synagogue.
There definitely are people.
The temple.
There definitely are people who go for the sense of community on a Sunday that it provides and that kind of thing.
That's true.
Yeah,
and in fact, I would argue that while a lot of people say, I believe in God, they would go, but they're more for the social aspect than they are necessarily for the connection to a divine power. Like I think that's a big part for people, is like the sense of community and the sense of togetherness that you can get from going to these spaces.
Yeah, that's why like religion could be a very good thing in anybody's family. It's just all about how extreme you are. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, so for me, I usually have a moment where like I think of God every day. I at least have to have like, I'm not really strict with it, but I try, at least to have a moment of prayer in the morning where like I thank God for the day, thank God for what I have, and like, you know, just help me have a good day, help me make it through the day and stuff like that. That's usually what I do, like in my day to day, and then I have like Sunday service and stuff like that. So what would you consider like that? Because
that's religious.
That's religious, you would say, yeah.
In Judaism, yeah.
Because I guess there are obviously people who are, I guess you could say, more religious than I am, who like, you know, they read the Bible all the time, you know. But I feel like I'm someone who's just, you know, I'm just doing my part, trying to do my thing, and you know, everyone's. I see it as everyone's relationship with God is different. You know what I mean? And
which, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Which, no, it's just like even crazier because in Judaism there's even like a step above religious, which is Orthodox. That's when like you're actually in a community that everybody's religious and everything you do is about religion other than going to work. I
think it's a case of like your experience is your experience, so you're never gonna be like, oh, I do it too much or I do it too little. You always think you're doing it the exact same. Relative to me, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like a lot of sort of mental energy given to a dedication of God, right? But to you, it's going to be a normal amount, and to someone who does it more than you, it's going to be like, oh, that's nowhere near enough. Like, and so it's all just relative, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm thinking like what you said, Ron, about Orthodox. I feel like the way you define that, that's kind of how like I guess I would see someone like as religious, like where they like, you know, they think of God 24/7 and everything has to be about him. And I feel like to some degree, I guess it like depending on what you believe in, that is a good thing. But as humans, you know, we have other interests and other things as well. It's like it's pretty difficult to try to commit yourself 100%. Even as someone like, I'll speak for myself. I feel like I'm someone who can probably commit a whole lot more. It's just, you know, I'm human, and you know, I'm not gonna be able to like truly be like that. But you know, do the best you can.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, even maybe in our audience, to them, religious literally just means it's like superstitious, maybe. Like, it's just like, you'll think about God, which is technically superstitious, now that I think of it. That is superstition.
Technically.
Like just even believing in God. And like, what's funny is that I'm not superstitious. I don't believe in superstitions, but I do the things like, maybe just because like my mother does it, or like people around me do it, like saying God forbid or something, but like the Hebrew version of that, or God willing, after, you know, hoping for something good.
Just out of like habit and routine.
Just out of habit, even though I don't believe in God. That. Exactly. So I still do it, and that's I still like. For example, I keep kosher technically, or like relatively kosher compared to, let's say, compared to an Orthodox Jew, I don't keep kosher, but compared to like a non-Jew, I keep kosher, but not because I believe in God or anything. It's more just keeping this culture alive, I guess, basically. And yeah, so religious is the most vague thing in the world. And that's what's funny. That's why it's fun actually talking about it, because it's like seeing everybody's interpretation of religion is interesting, honestly. So now we are in the third segment. We definitely should talk about what's in the thumbnail.
We should. I'm amazed that we've actually got this far through and not spoken about it, given that we're all massive Pokemon fans. We've managed to talk a lot about culture, and we've spoken a lot about religion. And like, honestly, if I've been a little quiet this episode, it's just because I've been absorbing and learning. But we're now going to jump to the new Pokemon trailer, which I do know a little bit more about. That is a little bit more my wheelhouse.
That's your religion, Pokemon.
That's my religion, is Pokemon. Hey, when I go to church, it's for one reason only, and that is to spin a Pokestone. No, that's not true. I don't play Pokemon Go. I don't play Pokemon Go.
That's a good one.
But yeah, we had a new trailer this week, right? We had a new presents, and with it came a bunch of information about a bunch of different Pokemon, but specifically Scarlet and Violet. We finally got some new news, which was funny because in the upcoming episode that everyone will be listening to next week, we talk about how like, oh, there's still not been news, but ignore us when we say that, because there has been news. Our thirst has been quenched. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the little red dog, or
pre the trailer? Before the trailer, did you know any of the leaks or anything?
No.
I'd seen some bits.
No?
I stayed away from... I'm trying to stay away from the leaks as much as possible.
Yeah, I am actively searching for them, which is annoying. I like Pokemon a lot. But also... again, like, all these leaks are really just descriptions of the Pokemon and, like, what's going on. I don't want any spoiler. I don't want any, like, story spoilers, any story leaks. I'm not looking at that. I don't want to see any visual stuff, which is... I think that's what most of the leaks have been. but it sucks because like I did know about like, you know, the legendaries that, you know, rideable legendaries, although everybody speculated about that already.
Yeah.
I knew about the school aspect. I mean, again, like everything that people speculated about was basically correct. It was confirmed to me pre-trailer. So I wasn't like surprised.
See, that's why I try to stay away from like the leaks and stuff, because it's like that element of surprise is almost gone. Like the moment you see like, Fido, I heard the description. Oh, the leaks are right. Like, I think you even said it, like, I watched your reaction video, and you were like, oh, the leaks are right. And it was like, oh, I feel like maybe you would have enjoyed it a bit more if you didn't know anything. I don't know. It all depends, because, like, I've been there, too, where, like, I remember Sword and Shield, I was, like, I was trying to avoid leaks, but then I saw the mid-starter evolution spoiled in a thumbnail, and after I saw that, it was like, I just went down this rabbit hole where I saw every Sword and Shield Pokemon, but I'm trying to stay relatively fresh for, like, that fresh experience, you know, like, not knowing anything. Because once you know, and I hear apparently like a lot of the game is out there already, unfortunately, like so at least like definitely leaked. So it's like once you know all of that stuff, what is there really to look forward to except for wait for the games to come out? And I don't know.
Literally.
Well, okay, we did talk about this in the next podcast, but it's mostly I do really play nowadays for just like exploring the region. I'm a big fan of the region itself. A lot of times, which is definitely you can't leak the region. I mean, the map technically is out now, and I've been looking at the map for a few hours, which is annoying. Again, like I just really want to play this game already. But they literally they're leaking the map themselves. I don't know why they released the map already, and it's like really high quality. It's like 8000p or whatever. But nah, I'm not. I'll slow down on looking at the leaks in the coming months, because that's when the actual like visual leaks, like we're gonna get like starter evolutions. I don't want to see those. I'm fine with finding out during the most people actually, the one leak that they're okay with is the final evolutions of the starters.
People want to know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah,
they don't want to pick the wrong starter by mistake. Oh my god.
Which starter are you picking so far, Zach?
I'm leaning towards Fuecoco right now.
Yep.
Okay.
He's just a cute boy.
Okay. Yeah, best one.
It's actually my least. I like them all, but it is my least favorite.
Oh no!
I'm a Sprig guy, Sprigatito.
Oh man!
Nice.
But Quaxly's been growing on me a lot. I really like the personality and the colors. I like the color scheme of all three Pokemon. But how about the new Pokemon? Let's.
There's a dog. There's a dog, and
he's beautiful.
It's the tastiest looking Pokemon I've ever seen.
It's my favorite, like, food Pokemon.
I would genuinely eat that Pokemon. Like, I feel terrible because it's so cute, but I think I would hunt and eat Fidos.
Wait, but here's the thing. He's dough, so he's not really cooked. Like, he's kind of raw when you think about it.
Would
he taste good?
He will be. Have you seen the great name puns? It was on Twitter. Like, several people have tweeted the same one. So, like, there's a Greek pastry called baklava.
Baklava. Yeah.
Which
my favorite.
Bark. So you can baklava, or you could have a Doberman.
Oh my god!
There was another one on Twitter.
Evolution is Doberman. Oh my god!
I will have a look on Twitter. There was one the other day that I just saw it. I thought that's the funniest thing. I had to retweet it. But yeah, the name puns are brilliant. But I really like this. I really like this Pokemon.
I unexpectedly really liked its chin. If you look at its design, the mouth is like way high up on its snout, so it has a chin, and usually that makes a Pokemon look like a human, basically, whenever you add a chin to a Pokemon. But it works it makes them look so goofy and funny, and I actually appreciate it.
It should be the purebred Pokemon. Because it's a purebred dog.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a pretty fantastic Pokemon. Honestly, it's immediately jumped into the hearts of everyone. So I'm all for it. We got the Wooper. What'd you make of Wooper?
Chocolate Wooper. Oh my god, I love him. I love him so much. He's great.
He's well designed with like the skull and crossbones, the crossbones gills, and even like it's the pattern, the Wi-Fi pattern is not like a vertebrae and ribs pattern, I think. And so yeah, it's really well designed. I do prefer blue over brown, I think. And I'm also just a huge fan of Wooper. So, but it's still like an 10 out of 10 Pokemon because it's still a Wooper. and I'm glad they didn't really change much. But it's crazy that like we got 3 Pokemon, but one of them is Wooper yesterday, so we really just got like 2 new Pokemon revealed.
Here's the thing, though. Like, what if Wooper evolves into like a new Pokemon entirely, or Quagsire gets a new evolution? Because that's possible.
That'd be cool.
It's literally the options. That's the 2 options. Yeah, I mean, I'm Quagsire's fine. So like, but I think a new form or a new evolution I would probably enjoy it more than Quagsire even. So definitely, it's going to be a good time for me. But what about the Cetitan? So I think that's the controversial one.
I'm not well received. I don't dislike it, but it's not like, oh, need to catch one of those. It's fine. It's good. It's cool.
It caught me off at first. It looked a little weird because it was just really quick when it got shown off. But then when they went through the detailed breakdown and then you see like the Sugimori art, I was like, oh, that actually looks pretty cool. It's a land whale, all right. I vibe with it now. You know, that one took a bit more like growing for me, but like I like it now. It's fine. It's not my favorite, but it's fine.
Yeah, I've always wanted a land whale, so I'm just happy that it exists. Also, just like the design is very creative. I think it's like the way they implement like the mouth and the horns. It's cool, and the color scheme is also. I've always wanted just like a pure silver Pokemon. At least in the last few generations, we haven't had that. It's very like Gen 2 thing to have like Skarmory and Lugia. It's like an old style Pokemon kind of color scheme. So I'm glad we finally have it. But it really did when I saw it. I thought it looked like a Nokemon, like a randomly generated Pokemon. 100%. I was gonna say they had to have known, but whenever people say like Game Freak had to have known, they don't know. They don't know. Like Gumshoos was not based on Trump. This was not based on a Nokemon. They don't know. They never know.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence, guys.
It's always a coincidence.
It's a coincidence.
But yeah, I also like the names. Titans, like Cetacean Titan, perfect name. Although it would be cool to have like a Titan Pokemon that is actually huge. Although, are you guys aware that the Regis, like their official name is the Legendary Titans?
Titans, yeah.
Okay, just making sure, because I bet you 60% of our audience does not know that. Which is cool. I think that's really cool, but like, yeah, nobody's calling them that. Everybody's just the Regis.
Yeah, all the legendary golems a lot of people go for. What do you guys think of the crystalling? What's it called? The terrastling.
Terrestrial something. Terra crystals. I don't know.
I think there are terrastals. The Terra orbs. I never used the gimmick I used Z-move like once during the Elite Four.
Oh really?
Mega Evolution, it's like you have to have a Mega Pokemon on your Pokemon that Mega Evolves, so it's like that's also rare to have on your team. I only had it like a Blastoise once, and again only used it probably in the Elite Four or it's not a hard game X and Y. And then Gigantamax you can only use it in gym battles. And again, I think I only used it during the tournament. So it's like it's not satisfying to use these gimmicks for me. And I'm actually happy now that the visual gimmick is probably going to be separate from the battle gimmick. So, for example, Gigantamax forms. I'm a huge fan of Gigantamax forms and Mega Evolution forms. Just visually, those are really cool forms. But in order to use them, I have to use them in battle, which I don't really like using that much.
Right.
But now, I think there's going to be a separate form, and this is just speculation, and I think everybody's already speculated, but like ancient and past forms is probably a thing, in my opinion. So it's like, I think that's going to be a separate like visual gimmick, like those kind of forms, or like just like regional forms.
Yeah.
Those are new forms that I can actually use without having to use the gimmick. And if I want to use the gimmick, I can, without having to use it just to seek out these cool forms that I want to see their forms. So I'm actually glad about that. And it seems interesting, honestly, in battle. More interesting than just Z-moves.
I don't like the crowns.
I'll be honest, the crowns are goofy.
I really like that novelty has already worn off. Like, if they had just done Pokemon with crystal outer layers, I could have got behind that so quickly.
I would have liked it way more.
Like it's wearing a magical crystal armor. I would have been like, oh, that's so sick. But then
and it looks good. It's rendered well.
Yeah. It's rendered really well. They look gorgeous.
But in the end, it's like it doesn't affect my gameplay though, so I'm not going to harp on it. But yeah, I don't like it.
I'm kind
as
of
much
like
as visually.
I'm like indifferent. So I think the way the gimmick works is cool. Like, I like the idea of like, you're getting a boost to like your Pokemon's typing, or you could even change your Pokemon's typing. Visually, I'm like, okay, like I'm kind of like leaning towards Toby a little bit, where I feel like the crown stuff, I feel like it's a little bit too much, even if they shrunk it down a little bit. I think it would look fine. Like if you see the official art, you see like the one with Eevee. It has this big giant jewel, the same, like even bigger than its body. And that looks a little ridiculous. If you just made it a little smaller, I feel like that would have made it better. But I think it's also just, you know, like a visual thing. So you know, okay, this Pokemon is this type now. Because if it was just like a crystal shell on top of them and like a slight glow, it might be hard for some people to differentiate like psychic type with like fairy type. They're both like pinkish purpley. It's like, so I guess that's the reason why it's like so big and stuff. But it's fine.
And I bet once, if the gimmick actually is fun in battle, people are going to find these crowns endearing, like in a year or two.
Probably.
They're like, oh, yeah, like it looks funny. It's really just up to the gimmick. We'll see how it affects the meta. I mean, for example, Wolfie is excited for it. I think he likes it. And I mean, people are always excited for any gimmick. It's just when you implement it, that's the true test. But I feel like the one criticism that I heard for competitive is that, especially now that some Pokemon they can terrestrialize into multiple types. I don't know if it's just like, it'll be cool if it's just one type. Like you can, like every Pokemon, like let's say Gardevoir can only terrestrialize as water type, if it, like psychic or water, or like like whatever secondary type makes sense for them would be cool. But water, like we saw it terrestrialize into water in the trailer, and that doesn't make sense.
And
so
Eevee
that
has water and grass.
Yeah.
Eevee makes sense to have multiple. That's different. Pikachu and Eevee, they're gonna have multiple. Any gimmick Pokemon's gonna have multiple. But like Drifloon had fire in the trailer. That makes sense. I hope it's just fire. I hope it's just fire.
That's what I hope for. But it feels to me that the suggestion is that actually it's gonna be each Pokemon has access to the 18 types. Some will be more common. Some will be rarer.
Yeah.
While that's cool and it'll be fun for like collecting and like just try to use whatever type you want to use, probably in the meta it's just gonna be unfair.
Sounds hectic, doesn't it?
We'll find out. I mean, we'll find out. I'm not going to speak about it until we find out, I guess.
Do you want a sneak peek? Because I got a video coming out tomorrow, probably around the same time as this podcast. Do you want a sneak peek to a theory I've come up with through the...
No, not really.
Okay, well, that's fair then.
So
Moving on.
What do you want to say?
All right. So, post Generation 4, where you have Arceus and all the other deities, Gen 5, you've got the Kyurem, and it's broken down into the different, you know, we never see it complete it, but that's the original dragon, and potentially responsible for all dragon energy in the Pokemon world, which we know used to be crystallized, because Reggie Drago has Pokedex entries about this. Then the next generation, you get Zygarde, which has a perfect form, it's a dragon type, it has the energy of Xerneas and Yveltal in it. You see it's got those rock-like cores, and that's the energy that ties into Infinity Energy for Mega Evolution. The next generation, you get Necrozma, which has a perfect form, the Ultra Necrozma, that channels energy through it. It's a space dragon, and it channels energy through it, which you use for the Z moves. Then the next generation, you got Eternatus, which is another dragon, and it's got like a perfect form that's the hand, and its body becomes the Wishing Stars, which channels the energy for Gigantamax energy. And there's this thing for Arceus, right, where the word Arceus comes from a term in alchemy called the Arceus, spelled with the CH, and there are 4 ethers that make up the Arceus. There is life, which is... would be Zygarde, because it wields the life energy of Pokemon in Infinity Energy. There's light, which is Necrozma. There's chemical, which would be Eternatus, because it's poison type. And then the last one's called reflective. And we've now got this crystal gimmick, and each of the crowns... there you go. You're like, oh, where's he going with this? Each of the crowns have the little evil face in they got the 2 angry eyes.
Yeah, what's up with that?
It's because these are... rock-like parts of the body of what I assume will be the 3rd legendary, a dragon, probably from space, that has some perfect mega form that is like, just like, you know, Ultra Necrozma, Perfect Zygarde, G-Max, Eternatus. So there you go, got it figured all out already. Those are the 4 parts of Arceus. And then that makes sense to me, because I've been saying for the longest time that eventually Mega Evolution will come back, Gigantamax forms will come, they'll all get consolidated into the same feature. And I think what we're going to get with Gen 10 is, I think we're going to get like all 4 of those ideas, the crystal. So a Pokemon that's bigger than usual, has a new form, has a crystal structure around it, and its moves are boosted. That is, in my mind, going to be the thing in Gen 10. They're going to combine them all together. And a Pokemon will be like its ultimate form or its Arceus form or something. Pokemon
theorists are always like predicting that things are gonna come together. They never do, especially in Pokemon. like everything. That was actually a really cool theory. I just don't believe in everything coming together.
Well, you mark my words. Episode 16. I'll see you in 4 years, and we'll talk about it.
Okay. Now I'm really into like character designs. But so I was really into like all the characters that were revealed in the trailer. Like we were revealed to like 10 of them, and only like one of them, like 3 of them were named. What about you guys? Were you very excited about the characters, or they're just characters to you?
They look really cool to me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who do you like?
I love the way they So, I really, really like, what's his name? Arvin. He looks pretty cool.
Arvin's cool.
Grusha looks cool, who I found out was
Grusha
actually
is
a
one
man.
of the coolest designs.
He is a very beautiful man.
Very pretty.
And even like, they don't really have him on the website, but it's like, there was like the other gym leaders, I think, there was this one dude who had like a mustache and he had like a twirly hair. Cool. He looks really, really awesome. Like, oh my God, I love that design. I don't know. I can't wait to see what they have to offer.
Did anyone else think he looked like Drayden or not? Because I thought, that's what I thought, and then I tweeted out about it because someone did some fan art of the two of them together, and I was like, cool. I'm not the only one that recognized that they both have enormous biceps and they look kind of the same, but other people in the comments were like, you are stretching that one, Toby.
Zach, have you watched Fullmetal Alchemist yet? Or Brotherhood?
I have not.
Okay, so watch that.
I will. It's on the list.
There's a meme that's going around from Brotherhood related to Drayden and that guy, we don't know his name. But yeah, they're just hitting out of the park with these designs again. I thought Gen 8 had the best character designs. They're, maybe a step up. Not like I really still like the art style of, I think Sword and Shield had the best like art style in terms of rendering the characters in game. But I still like the art style of Galar, of Paldea. So and I was a big fan of like the characters in Pokemon Snap too. So when people are complaining about like them looking like Pokemon Snap, I'm actually cool with it. I'm liking it. I'm really cool with it. It's like different for like the protagonist. That's when I get it. But for the other characters, I'm totally fine with it. I think all the characters were really cool, and I'm also excited just for I actually am a fan of the whole like going to school aspect because it makes it feel more like an anime to me, and I just like feeling like I'm in an anime, so that's cool. Now, Zach, do you think this will translate into the anime? Because we already technically had in the Gen 7 anime, he was in School Ash, and then now he's journeying in journeys. But that's basically school and journeying is what this new generation is about. Do you think they're going to combine it or come up with something completely different in the Gen 9 anime?
First of all, can I just say that was a really clean transition? Because you were like, feels like we're in an anime. Speaking of the anime, what do you think this feels like? I was like, wow, that was smooth as heck. So it's interesting because like with Journeys, the way they've been handling it, it's like it's the 25th anniversary anime, so they use this opportunity to like revisit every region, bring back older characters and stuff like that. Like literally have every gen in one, which is it's cool. It has its ups and downs. I feel like personally for me, I would like them to go to a more traditional type of series where like they like, just Ash and his companions traveling the new region, because Galar got kind of shafted in Gen 8, hasn't really been shown off too much, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and
it sucks.
A lot of people also like have been talking about like maybe this is Ash's like final series because he's battling the strongest trainers in the world and whatnot, and that's a whole debate for another time. But like I think what's really cool about this game is that like it has so many different things to offer that I feel like they can do a lot of different storylines, because the whole thing about they said is like there's 3 different stories you can do, like not just the gym challenge. Like the gym challenge is just one story of 3, and I think that's really cool where they could have Ash do like one storyline and then like have other companions do like maybe the other stuff if they're tired of seeing Ash do gyms all the time and be like he's too strong to do gyms. He could do like the treasure hunt, or he can do something else. I feel like with the way Scarlet and Violet is set up, with like so much content that it seems like this game has to offer, like I can see them just really taking what's going to be in the games and just translating it into the anime, not going anything too different, because there's already so many possibilities within the game and generation itself. It's like, let's work with this, I feel like.
Like, I do think that Ash will be going back to school somehow. I think he's actually going to wear a uniform.
He has to.
Which is crazy because he's not like a world champ. I mean, he was already... Yeah, like he's not like a world champion, basically. Not world champion, but like a champion of the world. Champion within his world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One of the strongest trainers in the world.
One of the strongest trainers ever, apparently.
Go on.
So it's going to be weird for him to go back to school, but also, I think maybe he'll be like an upperclassman or something like that. I think regardless, I think he's going to actually wear the uniform this time, and that's going to be part of his design. That'll be really cool.
I don't really like the uniform outfits, at least on the main character. Every other character in this game looks great, minus the main characters for some reason.
Exactly.
I don't know
why. But I mean, what's crazy is that customization-wise, you are gonna have to be wearing the uniform the whole time, or just variations of the uniform. And what's cool is that you actually are able to like change your eye shape and like lip shape and stuff like that, but you can't change your clothes to anything outside of the school uniform. It'll be very interesting. I want to see the reception to that. I think the anime is gonna have like the biggest cast, in my opinion. Like the Gen 9 anime, there's gonna be so many rivals from the school that are gonna try to, like, so many different characters, just like in like a school anime. Yeah. It's gonna be fun, in my opinion. Hopefully, if they do that, because I can't see a different. They can't be just journeying again. They can't. They're gonna do the gym. I don't know. I don't like to predict things with the anime because they always throw a curveball.
Yeah.
Like,
ever since Sun and Moon, they've thrown a curveball, and it's kind of funny because I feel like I've been thinking this. The Sun and Moon anime was kind of ahead of its time because the big controversy is like, why is Ash in school and stuff like that. But I feel like literally like what you described, what you want to see from like this new Scarlet and Violet anime is like what they literally did in Sun and Moon. They put Ash in the school. They had a big cast. So it's like,
sucks.
It doesn't suck. It's pretty good.
It sucks that they did it already when they could have been doing it now.
True.
But
maybe they could do it better. Since they already had a whole generation where they tested it out. And I feel like that final season finished very strong, where they can already like, they already, they got their foot in the door and they were kind of tested everything out. Like that usually happens with like every like anime or even TV show in general. It's just like the first season is always like, trying to figure out how the characters act and stuff like that. And then usually by season 2 or 3, things really pick up. So I feel like since they already tested that with Sun and Moon, if they just started out with the same mentality that they did in season 3 in the beginning of this series, I feel like it'll be really cool. And especially with all the characters they have to offer, and it should be fun.
I think I have a fun prediction. I think Ash is gonna go back to the school and is gonna be like a leader of a group of like hunters, of like treasure hunters. Like there's gonna be multiple groups, like a guild. Like there's multiple groups that are gonna set out to do this treasure hunt. Ash is gonna be the leader of this like small like 3-4 person group. Because he really is like a champion. So it's like it's gonna be awkward if he's just one of the students.
That's true.
But a leader of like a group.
Well, they said that there's 3 stories, right? There's, as far as we know, there's the gym challenge. There would seem to be some kind of racing. I mean, it looks like there's race courses all over the map, so I'm guessing races, and then some kind of treasure hunt, right? And I think obviously, I don't know if they'll keep Go as the companion. I mean, the player character design in this game is so bland that I could actually see them doing Ash and Go and continuing with that. But whoever Ash's companion is, one will do one will do another, one will do the other. And I even if Ash took on a more mentor role and did like the racing, it would still, it's still like a really cool thing to watch, like Ash racing around on a Miraidon or whatever. I
think he's gonna dabble in all 3, but each person in this group is probably gonna focus on one of those things. Yeah. That's
I
think go on. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, this is actually like kind of a tangent.
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like if they don't write out Ash at the end of this 25th Journeys series, they're never going to do it. They've had him complete a league. They got him past the Johto hurdle. We saw huge character development stuff throughout X and Y, and every time everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to end. It's going to end. It's going to end." If this isn't the end for Ash Ketchum, if we're still watching Ash Ketchum on screen in 6 months, he's never going anywhere. He will be here for 100 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's funny though, because it's like there've been so many opportunities where they could have just end off his story. Literally every season, I guess minus Black and White, you could have probably just ended it. But like, I feel like he's just so marketable, like kind of like Pikachu, Pikachu and Ash are like they're almost the face of Gen 10, Gen 10, Gen X. Like, I don't know. It's just like when you ever get this moment where like you see like a Pokemon fan or something, and they see like a picture of Red, and like they're like, "That's Ash." Like, you ever seen someone do that? It's like Ash has become so like ingrained to the Pokemon like franchise. Obviously, he's not as big as Pikachu, but it's like he's a pretty big character. I feel like it's kind of hard to try to get rid of him, so that's probably why they haven't done it.
Yeah, the biggest, like, not regret, but the biggest missed opportunity for me in Pokemon was not having Hilda as his traveling companion. I think having two Ashes, like another like rival for him in his like as one of his companions, would have been the coolest thing. His dynamic with like someone who's like headstrong and like wants to battle, like potentially Hilda, would have been so fun. And the shippers would have gone crazy too. But like, oh, that would have been cool. Like,
maybe they'll do that with like Nimona, because Nimona seems like
that's okay. So
she'll fit into
Nimona
that mold.
may be the next step, but Nimona seems like, you know, an upperclassman, and like it's crazy that all three of our rivals, maybe Penny not, but like all three of our rivals seem like they're upperclassmen and like older teenagers, which is interesting. But you know, they always age down the characters anyways in the anime, but like Nimona still seems older than the protagonist, so it's gonna be weird if.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe she's definitely going to appear in the show, and I feel like she's going to be a rival. But we've said that about like every rival for the last 3 years, like last 2 generations, or even 3 generations, or 4 generations. Okay, Ash's rival is never the rival from the game, other than in black, in blue, blue.
Yeah, blue / Gary.
But yeah,
I feel like
I want to have them.
I feel like what would be really cool is like, because a lot of people feel like, and I agree to this to some extent as well, it's like Ash is right now taking on the strongest trainers in the whole world, and even if he beats Leon or not or whatever, he's still like the second strongest trainer in the world. Like, he's gonna be fighting Cynthia, probably beating her in September. So it's like, you can't really throw him in a school setting and make him do gyms again, because it's like, why is he doing something so simple now? I feel like something cool would be to have like a character.
Of course you can. They did it for Black and White. They literally did it for the beginning of Black and White. They did the exact same thing. They're like, oh, it's kind of a soft reboot. Why is his Pikachu losing to a level 5 Snivy? They did the exact same thing.
But
of course they could do that again.
The difference there is that, like,
the other generations.
Yeah. But like the difference there is that Ash didn't actually win a Pokemon League yet. So that was like the thing.
So what? He beat a Darkrai in battle and now he's like losing to stuff.
He never got the trophy, man.
In every generation.
He never got the trophy.
I don't think it makes a difference. You know, I mean, he won the Orange Island trophy and he's still getting played by everyone. I think Pokemon Ash will be forever a beginning trainer, like at the beginning of each journey. The continuity, the way that they treat continuity is like this. I guess the way I describe it would be like it's not hard and fast rule. It's kind of flexible in that the events happened, the story did happen, but any tangible experience from those, there are like cutoff points where it's like and forgotten. So I'd say gens honestly 1 through 4 are pretty consistent, and then it's like Gen 5 into 6 is like pretty consistent, and then Gen 7 is questionable. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. And then Gen 8 continues. Like
the shift from Ash's personality from Gen's. Well, there's multiple shifts. Personality is the biggest shift for me, not just experience. But Ash really did act like a older teen, like older. He acted a bit older in Generation 3, for example, especially with May next to him. But then in Generation 5, he's back to like a kid, I think. But then Generation 6, he's like old. He feels a little older. He's more mature. But then Generation 7, he's back to like acting like a kid, and that is consistent through Generation 7, I think. Generation 8. So that's what pisses me off more, honestly, his like personality, not like his experience, battling experience.
Yeah, they really have toned him down more, especially as of late. Like, just make him more like an actual 10-year-old kid, which I get it. You know, you're trying to market to kids because the anime is just Pokemon for kids. At the end of the day, it's a kids anime, but it's like there's no real consistency, because I feel like what they've been trying to do ever since Gen 5 is like, it's good in some ways and it's bad in other ways. It's a double-edged sword where they try to make each series kind of feel like its own self-contained story in Ash's journey. So for example, if you watch X and Y, you don't have to watch Sun and Moon. There's no real connection there. Like, they feel almost different to some way. So it's like, you can just watch X, Y, enjoy it. You don't have to feel obligated to watch the continuation of Ash's journey. That's kind of how I interpreted like the interpretation. You might not like it, but it's just like, hey, at least you have this part of the anime where you can enjoy. And maybe some people like Sun and Moon. I mean, I'm someone who enjoys Sun and Moon and XY, but like maybe you like slice of life anime and you like the slice of life approach that they took to Pokemon in like Sun and Moon, as opposed to like shonen battle heavy and XY. You know, at the end of the day, we all like different things and watch different types of media. So I feel like that's kind of their way of, you know, giving us different types of Pokemon to enjoy.
True. I like slice of life when it's not children. That's the problem. Like when it's slice of life, let's say in I forgot the name of this Gen 7 anime, but the Alola stuff. A lot of it is just, them doing things that like are very low stakes, or just like there's no. It's just them doing kid stuff, but like if they're doing things that, relationship stuff like in slice of life anime, or
will they? Won't they?
Will they? Won't they? Tests, or which college they're gonna go to, or even just adult slice of life, like office and work stuff. Yeah, there's stakes to that, so it feels like there's drama. I guess drama is what makes slice of life more interesting. There's barely any drama in slice of life Pokemon. But for example, so Pokemon. It's hilarious. I'm a big anime fan, at least relative to Toby. I don't know. Like, Zach, do you watch other anime?
I am an enjoyer of anime. So it's funny because I used to just watch like Pokemon and like Dragon Ball. But like, I've had interest in other anime, and it's actually recently, like the past like year or so, where I've really been trying to dip my toes into anime. Like I watched all of Naruto. I'm currently watching Bleach. So now I'm trying to really get into anime stuff because it's cool. I just never had the time for it growing up.
Yeah. So, I mean, same thing. I didn't watch anime until college. I didn't even watch Dragon Ball Z. Even though I knew it. Here's what's so funny. I am probably the person who knows the most about Dragon Ball without having watched it. I can tell you most of the arcs, what happens, like even specific things that happen, like in the beginning of the arcs, in the middle of the arc, and the end. I've never watched it though. So like I can tell you most of the characters, whatever. It's weird, but I never watched it, and I didn't watch anime until college. I think technically the first anime I watched was Attack on Titan, other than Pokemon, and then after that, now I'm a huge anime fan, but I don't watch the Pokemon anime. All I know is literally because I'm in the community, so I know literally everything that happens. Yeah.
Zach gave me a really good list recently. We had a chat and we were talking about like an abridged list of getting through all the episodes, because there's like 1,200 episodes, and I'm like, give me 150, and I've watched through like. I decided to just skip the Kanto stuff because I'm like, I know it fine, and just skip straight to Johto, and I'm like halfway through Hoenn now, and I'm like, yeah, it's great. It's so much easier watching it in that kind of way.
So I watched all of Kanto, not a lot of Johto, all of Hoenn, half of Sinnoh, although again, where I left off, I know everything that happens in the second half of the Sinnoh stuff, and the very famous stuff happens, and then I didn't watch Black and White. I watched 80% of X and Y, because that was when I was already like in college with X and Y. So, and I started it like in the end of high school. I was watching with my brother. We'd watch it every like Saturday, but then slowly, I became adult. He became an adult. We stopped watching together, and then because of that, I stopped watching. But I guess I know the ending of X and Y anime, and then by then I didn't watch any episodes. I've watched a few episodes of the beginning of Journey. And again, I still know everything that happens in Journey. And it sucks because I don't watch it, and I don't get the enjoyment of actually watching like these like champion battles, for example. But especially since if I would watch it, I would watch it dubbed, but I already know what happens when it happens in Japan. And even if I really did want to watch it, I don't want to watch it in Japanese, specifically Pokemon, because I know all the English moves and the English Pokemon names. And it's just like, and the characters is just like, it'll be. I don't want to be the type of person who starts now calling all the characters with their Japanese names. Like you, I'm assuming, watch the sub, right?
Yeah.
Is it in the subtitles? They use the English names for the moves.
It depends. Like most of the time, it's the Japanese name, but it's like they kind of slip through the cracks when it's like moves that are literally the same in English and Japanese, but there have been times where it's like, what the heck is that move? But it's a Japanese name.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so is it confusing to you?
Not really, because like sometimes they say what the move is, and it's like that's a different name. But like when you see the animation, it's like, oh, you know that move. That's like what is it? A Night Slash, which is I think it's like Crossroad Kill and something like that. Or is that Aerial Ace?
It's Crossroad.
Oh no,
what a great name, Crossroad Kill.
Aerial Ace is Sparrowtail.
Oh yeah. So it's Crossroad Kill.
Swallowtail.
Crossroad Kill. Crossroad Kill is Night Slash. And a big example is like Thunderbolt is not Thunderbolt in Japanese. It's like 10,000 volts or something like that. So when you see the sub, it's like 10,000 volts, but you know it's Thunderbolt because you see Pikachu using it. But if you're not like well versed in Pokemon moves, you're gonna be like, what move is that? What did he use? So yeah.
What about like characters? Like, will you now start saying the characters like Japanese names, especially like the anime? Yeah, original characters.
They use all their Japanese name.
But like in conversation, you use the Japanese names.
Oh no, in conversation I use the English name, and I even do it in my reviews and my videos. I just say it in English because that's the one we know of the most. You know, sometimes like in tweets and stuff, it's like I like to throw it in there, you know, just to kind of flex my knowledge of like the anime and Japanese names, but I don't do it like intentionally. You know what I mean? Like,
what's the girl companion's name again in Journeys?
Chloe.
So you say Chloe?
Yeah, I say Chloe.
Oh, okay, got it. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's just like Pokemon is the one where it's like the sub and dub is the most different compared to other anime. And in anime, I don't know if it's controversial to even ask, but do you watch dubs or subs when you're watching any other anime?
I mean, when I watch anime, I watch them in dub because it's much easier. It's just like I'm not one of those people. It's like. It's easier for me, like, you know, it's my native language. I don't want to read, I want to enjoy it, you know, it's fine. But like for Pokemon is like the one exception because for one, the Japanese the sub is way ahead of the dub. The dub is like behind, and you know, I'm not trying to be behind, but also like it's just so different. Like the music is completely different in the dub, and I feel like that kind of takes away some of the experience. Like the music in the dub sucks.
So stupid.
It really, like, the Pokemon anime is a kid's anime at the end of the day. But it's still enjoyable. But I feel like the music they use in the dub makes it feel even more kiddish, like more childish, and it robs it of like the really hard hitting emotional moments, or even when battles are epic and they use like a cool insert song, or like, and they just use a generic English dub music. It's just all the hype is gone, which is unfortunate because I feel like the dub of Journeys is probably the best dub the Pokemon anime has ever been, regardless of how you feel of like the voice acting changes. But like aside from Ash, all the new voices that they brought along like are really
like Zeno
really
Robinson.
Good. Yeah, like they have these really experienced voice actors, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, all of them are very famous voice actors for all these characters for some reason, like Jeremy Lee and like Ray Chase, and like these are very like these are famous anime dubbers and video game. So that's actually one of the reasons I did enjoy like watching the few dub episodes. So I'm like, oh, these voice actor. I'm a big voice actor fan, whether it be anime or just cartoons in general. And that's also one of the reasons I watch dubs, is just like I'm an animator, so like I appreciate the animation. I want to watch the animation. I can't really appreciate the animation as much if I'm looking at the subtitles. Like the only anime that I watch subbed is Boruto because I'm actually a big fan of the Naruto world, and I actually am still a big fan of Boruto. I mean, you really do get used to it. It's like the sub watchers are correct. You get used to it, and you just forget that you're watching a sub. But for example, like an anime like Pokemon or even Boruto, where it's a lot of it is just filler, you're not going to want to pay attention the whole time. You want to maybe have it in the background while you're eating or something. Not in the background, but like if I'm eating, I can't watch something subbed because I'm looking down sometimes at my plate. So I can never eat when I'm watching Boruto, and I would never be able to eat when I'm watching,
that's the
Pokemon
funniest thing. That literally happened to me because I remember last year when I started my Naruto watch, and I breezed through all of Naruto and Shippuden because, it's all dubbed in English. And Boruto as well, I was breezing through it until I got to the point where like they stopped dubbing it, or they're not caught up yet. Yeah. So once I started watching Boruto dubbed, it took me a longer time just because like I have to read. If I'm not reading, I'm gonna miss something important, So it's tough. That's why I've caught up with Boruto, but when I was watching it, I would watch it while I'm at the gym. I just have it on the treadmill, and I'm like, all right, just reading it. It's a nice way to keep my mind off of like the exercise and stuff. So
yeah, I used to watch a lot of like stand-up comedy at the gym because again, you don't really have to pay attention too much to the visuals or something, and I'd be laughing while I'm working out. And it's very funny seeing the reactions, and I still do, because now I listen to like comedy podcasts and stuff like that, like Trash Taste or Super Mega while I'm working out, and I'm laughing while I'm also like in pain. It's a very funny juxtaposition. Toby's lucky. doesn't have to have. He doesn't care about the controversy.
I'm much like earlier on in the podcast. I'm just sitting and listening, just vibing. I could watch this in dubbed though. Wait, this is dubbed. You are dubbing this. I mean, for me right now in this conversation.
Yes.
I watched with Attack on Titan. I just I had to get caught up. So I ended up halfway through the latest half of the season. I was like, I can't wait. I'm just gonna, and so me and Dan, we both made the decision to just power through, and we sat down and watched and I thought, you know what, this is gonna mess me up. I'm familiar with the voice actors. We're now we're 4.5 seasons in. It's gonna be really jarring to switch to the subtitled. It literally wasn't. It was super easy. We just swapped over and it was fine. Giving it all of our attention anyway. This is the thing we wanted to watch and know what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, dubs are getting better. They're still bad dubs, but dubs are getting better. They're not. This is not the beginning of this is not early 2000s. This is literally, I'd say, a majority of mainstream anime have good dubs.
Yeah,
and they're also simul dubs, so you don't have to wait forever for the English dub. It's usually a week or two behind, or even same day sometimes. It depends.
Yeah, it's funny that you waited for you were impatient for Attack on Titan, which has a pretty good simul dub.
It's about 3 episodes, I think, so 3 weeks. Yeah. And we were just nah, we just want to know what's going to happen next. Let's just get on it and watch it. And actually, interestingly enough, there's the OVAs, the spin-off episodes. I watched the first one and it was all in Japanese, and I thought, I'm going to have to watch it when I have time to pay attention to it because I want to read the subtitles. And then by the time I got back to them all, they've all been dubbed now. So I was like, oh, great, I'll just watch them all, dubbed, great, no problem. But not a huge anime person. And certainly with the anime, with the Pokemon anime, I just follow whatever you're saying, to be honest, Zach, on Twitter. Then I know what's going on.
There's a guy in the comments who's constantly telling Toby since we were planning to watch Brotherhood, me and Toby, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, he keeps on saying, no, watch the original Full Metal Alchemist first. And this is me telling you right now, it's Toby is not an anime fan. He's not going to watch the Full Metal Alchemist, the original Full Metal Alchemist, and then watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He doesn't have the time. He doesn't have the... Yeah. He's not as passionate about the... He doesn't even watch it. He doesn't watch it yet, so he's not passionate about it.
If I watch Brotherhood with you and I'm blown away, maybe then I'll consider going back. But I probably won't. I'll probably just...
You won't because you're not an anime fan, but also... The order would be to watch the original first because Brotherhood is better. By 99% of people agree that it's better. So it's going to be just a downgrade, even though you'll enjoy it because you're going to be in love with the characters by then. Mm-hmm. But it's it's going to be weird for you. I think this is the end.
I think it is too. It's been a good show.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Bye.